All right, so yeah, I'll do 3, 2, 1, clap. Make sense?
Like, was I actually supposed to clap or?
No. I this happens all the time. I'm just like, all right, we're gonna do that, and the guest is just like, was that the clap? It's like, no.
Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. It's fine.
All right.
Hello and welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I am your host, Hal, and with me here today, Villager. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I am VillagerWolf527. You probably might have known me previously as VillagerWolf527, but now that I'm gender fluid, I'm technically not just a villager boy anymore, but I didn't want to be called villager girl or villager boy girl. Didn't really roll off the tongue, but now I just go by Villager Wolf these days. Or actually, I actually go by Villy. That's the name I just want to try out. So, and of course, you might know me. I'm an editor for Schaefer Rose Productions, and you also might know me as that the one fat furry who's obsessed with a certain movie that we'll be talking about today.
That's right. Well, there's no time like the present. Let's just get into it. We watched Rock Dog, the movie that, honestly, you're the only person I know who not only has watched this movie, but like actively, like, you know, knows about it. Like it's kind of your brand, so to say. I would say.
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, why don't you talk about that? Give me, what's your history with Rock Dog? Like, why Rock Dog?
Yeah, that's like, I think, you know, many people have been wondering about this. I think the start, when I first heard about Rock Dog, I was scrolling through Tumblr one day. I heard about like this about. They had like this trailer for like this Chinese American animated movie about, like, you know, I think it was like Rock Dog or whatever. Like, I think it was back around like 2015, 2016 or whatever, which I thought was, like, you know, thought it looked pretty cool and all that. But then I think around the beginning of 2017, while I was watching TV, I saw a trailer for it, and, you know, for the movie Rock Dog, it said, hey, I recognize that trailer. And I just, I thought, you know, this one time where I thought, it was going to be like a pretty good movie. We should, you know, probably watch it. And then I'm probably like one of the only people that actually saw this movie in theaters.
Oh, so you saw it in theaters?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters the first time. And then
okay.
At first, like, you know, I didn't really hook up. It didn't really hook with me the first time. Like, I watched this with my late cousin Dylan. Back when he was still around with us, and we both, you know, we watched it, you know, in theaters. We thought it was mostly okay, you know, like, you know, not good or bad, but just but until later on, I just, you know, I was still kind of making YTPs at the time, and I kind of thought about, hey, I could probably make a, you know, quick YouTube poop out of this. So I would just, you know, I was waiting for like the DVD to come out, and the thing was, like, it's just the more I watched it, I just want to try to figure out, you know, some jokes or whatever. The unfortunate thing that happened was, the more I watched it, the more I kind of became obsessed with it, really.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So here's a question I've always wanted to know. Is your love for it ironic or unironic? Like, what's the balance here?
That's a good question. I am not really so sure myself, because it's just I've seen the movie like way too many times. Honestly, it's just hard for me to, like, you know, think about, like, you know, whether I have like a true opinion of this movie, like, because I get it, like, you know, like some criticisms of the movie. It's just like, you know, it's not really that good, but I just think it's not really that bad either. It does have, you know, like a lot of moments really that just, you know, kind of stick with me, or also just or I'm just a biased, you know, furry, you know. I guess that's also probably another reason. I just mostly just like the characters, really, just like the designs and all that.
Okay.
And so I don't think there's I guess there's not really any other reason. Just I just think it's just not really that bad as everyone else, you know, think it is.
Yeah, it's just something that you connected with over time. It wasn't like an immediate thing. Yeah, no, I've had similar experiences with, you know, some movies I hold near and dear to my heart. Yeah, like when I first watched The Dark Crystal, like, that was not a movie that I instantly fell in love with. Like, it had to take a couple watches for me to like truly appreciate it. But yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah, so I watched it for the podcast. This was actually not the first time I had watched it. I actually watched it back in 2019, I believe.
Yeah, you did mention something about that.
Yeah, so I watched it because I think I found it on like Vudu, and I was like bored one day, and I found it on Vudu, and I'm like, well, Villagers made it like their personality. Like, let me see what the whole hubbub is with this movie, and I watched it. I'm like, yeah, it was a movie.
Yeah.
So this time around, I definitely disliked it a lot more. I will fully admit. I don't see it with this movie. Now, I understand perfectly with the way you're explaining it. Like, it's something that connected with you personally, and I totally get that.
Yeah.
For me personally, I didn't really get anything out of it. Like, I think when it comes to like because there's a couple ways of looking at it. Not only is it an animated movie, an anthropomorphic animal movie, and like a musical movie. Like, I don't know. I feel like there are other movies I can describe that as that I feel like are better.
Yeah.
So it's just it is just it just depends on what you're willing to get out of it. Like, I mean, obviously you seem to appreciate more aspects of it than I do, and yeah. I don't know, just something about this movie. So one thing I will say, I really like the 2D animation used at the beginning of the movie more than
that's
the 3D animation.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. Like, the 2D animation in the beginning is just a whole lot better than than the actual movie itself, really. I've seen, lots of people say that too.
It's stylized. It kind of reminds me, I don't want to necessarily say like, that's why what makes it good. Like, it kind of reminds me of like Kung Fu Panda, but like, but like, Kung Fu Panda, when it has its like stylized 2D animation, it looks great, but also like the 3D animation in Kung Fu Panda looks great as well. Whereas I feel like here, I don't know, like something about it just seems very basic to me. And I kind of would want a little more out of an animated film than just basic. Like, I'm pretty sure all the sheep characters are the same exact character model, just with like different clothes.
Okay, so that's the thing with this movie. It's just, especially when Bodhi goes to the city, like you see all the random characters in the background. Like there's like a lot of instances where you see okay, they just copy and paste the model, like every time, like the same alligator, the same goat, the same fox, all that sort of crap.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't feel. It definitely doesn't feel lived in. I feel like it. Like, I've seen this kind of animated film before, and this is not the worst example of this, not even the worst example of this that I've talked about on the podcast. Like, a bunch of episodes ago we talked about Marmaduke 2022, and let me tell you, that is a vacant movie with like the same character models over and over in the background. This is not like the most egregious example of that, because I will give this movie, like, it has a style to it. It's just not a style that I necessarily connect with or think is all that impressive. It doesn't grab me, is the thing.
Right. Yeah. It's also especially funny because like the same animation team who actually animated Rock Dog is actually the same team who made the Book of Life and Freebirds.
Really?
Yeah, real effects. Yeah, it is the same animation company. I am not kidding.
Oh wow! So I have not seen Book of Life, but from what I remember, like, it looks like a really good animated movie. Like, the animation looks really good. And Freebirds?
Yeah, Freebirds is Freebirds.
Freebirds is on a whole other level from
every
movie ever. But anyway, wow, that's interesting. Well, even like Freebirds, I don't know. Well, the turkeys at least look interesting. I don't know about the human characters, but that's a whole other thing.
And also, the thing is, like, the director of this movie, Ash Brannon, who also co-directed Toy Story 2 and also directed Surf's Up.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting. And pretty much And the thing is, you know that because I've seen a whole lot of the trailers. They always say from the co-director of Toy Story 2, and like that's almost like in every single part of the advertising, just to make sure you gotta go see this movie just to see how good it is or whatever.
I know they always do that. They're always just like from this guy. Speaking of Marmaduke 2022, the guy who directed that movie, I also talked about another movie of his on the podcast called Frankenfish. And they advertised Frankenfish as like from the guy who directed Spawn, the late 90s Spawn, like the terrible Spawn that nobody likes. Like that's how they advertise.
Oh my god.
I mean, when you look at the guy's filmography, he's all over the place. It's fucking wild. But yeah, like they'll do that. They'll just pull whatever they can to pull butts into seats. Yeah, from the co-director of Toy Story 2. Like how random. Like
but not as random as I don't know if I want to bring this up early yet, but of course Rock Dog has 2 sequels now. Like both direct to DVD made by Splash Entertainment and such. And I did like a live reaction to like the trailer of Rock Dog 2, and what it got to this one part where it said from the award-winning producers of Clifford the Big Red Dog. I just laughed my ass off at that.
Was it the show Clifford the Big Red Dog, or was
I wasn't really sure at first, like, what was it talking about, the show, like the movie, like the recent movie or whatever, until I saw this one comment on the video, I think just recently, saying like, I think it was like a show, it was like a show of Clifford the Big Red Dog on Amazon Prime. I guess that's what they were talking about.
Okay. Is that different from the PBS show from the early 2000s?
It definitely looks different. Yeah.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, because I was going to say, like, you could have some street cred with the original Clifford show. It's been years since I've seen it, but I remember it being good. But, like, if this is a completely different show, that's how they get you.
Yeah, but of course, like, I've seen, both the sequels, like, just many people would think, like, if I must like Rock Dog, I probably might like the other movies too, but no, they are god awful. I fucking hate them so much.
Oh, wow, that's unfortunate.
I especially hated the second one. Just, like, it just does not follow up, the first Rock Dog at all. They retcon, like, so much shit from it.
Oh.
Like, yeah, but that's kind of like a whole topic for like another time, because we're talking about the first Rock Dog. Just
from what it sounds like, well, if you don't even like the sequels, like, wow. But I mean, here's the thing, like I've been saying, like, it's not the worst. Like, I can't say this is like Food Fight or Marmaduke 2022. Like, this is not a awful waste of time movie. Like, it has good aspects to it. Like, J.K. Simmons is in it. I love J.K. Simmons, and he's just here.
Yeah, he was pretty good. But the thing was, like, one of the casting, I thought, the only character that actually was, kind of like the best character in the movie was Eddie Izzard as Angus Scattergood.
Yeah, I like Eddie Izzard's voice a lot. Their voice really reminds me of, like, I want to say, I think it sounds very Python-esque. Maybe I just like really like the British accent. I just think they have like an inherently funny voice. So like every time they talked, I was just like, I was laughing my ass off. Like, it was actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And also, I didn't want to bring back the sequels, but there's kind of like this one interesting thing where in the second movie, they don't bring back Angus at all, because I guess they had like a new cast or whatever for like the movies. Like, obviously none of the original cast members returned for like the second one. But there's like this one strange case, like when the third movie, where they brought Angus back with like, the same cast from like, the second movie, but they brought back Eddie Izzard as Angus, in the third movie for whatever reason.
Wow, did they just believe in that character so much?
I guess they did. Like, I don't know.
That's funny. That's like how they brought back Robin Williams for the third Aladdin, but not the second one.
Yeah, I think that was just the whole thing. I think they almost tried to advertise the heck out of it, like, say like, hey, we brought back Eddie Izzard for it.
Yeah,
like it's almost what they did for the third Aladdin movie too. So
I mean, you might as well. That's the only famous voice you probably have. It's just like, hey, we have this voice. Watch it. It's like, no, No thanks.
Yeah. So let's see. There was also Luke Wilson who plays Bodhi.
Yeah, that was
like,
random.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I thought he was, pretty okay. But I think like the new voice actor they got for Bodhi in like the sequels, I thought he was actually, wasn't really that bad. He wasn't really that bad. It was actually pretty good. And I mostly just bring this up because I've actually met him in like in a virtual panel at a furry convention thing once.
Oh, no kidding.
He was actually like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Like talked about like a whole lot about what went into like the sequels, and mostly just how much he didn't want to really replicate like the original voices, kind of did it like his own and all that. And it just he just seems like a pretty cool dude.
That's cool.
And all that.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird voice actors in this movie. So like Lewis Black plays the wolf.
Yeah, so Lennox, the bad guy, the wolf.
I will admit his joke where he's just like, "Can we get a red cord for the red phone?"
To go with the red phone. Yeah,
that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh, who else is in this? So Matt Dillon, who's like been in some has been in some interesting movies. Like he's like the Jaguar douchebag boyfriend.
Yeah, Trey the snow leopard.
Snow leopard, that's what it was.
Yeah,
and then
and also the thing was like I personally have no idea who Matt Dillon is, like, but they just kept like kind of kept advertising it that way, just like with Matt Dillon or whatever.
Dillon, like he was in a the movie I think of whenever I think of Matt Dillon is The House That Jack Built, which is a Lars von Trier movie about a serial killer.
Yeah.
It's a very different movie from Rock Dog, just a little.
Yeah. And also, of course, you got Sam Elliott who plays Fleetwood Yak.
Yeah, Fleetwood Yak. Now that I'm saying it out loud, now I get it. Yeah, wasn't that strange? Yeah, Sam Elliott. I mean, I get it. He has like that narrator voice, so they make him the narrator. But it's just weird that they make him like a character. Although
I know he's like kind of like a character who kind of tries to like break off the fourth wall, like some points it just feels kind of weird, really.
Yeah, like, and then he breaks the fourth wall. He's like, "Don't worry, folks, I'll be untied soon enough." It's just like, why are you talking to me?
I'll be untied sooner or later. Yeah. My guess is later and all that.
Yeah, like I'm talking about the dude here. Yeah,
I'm talking about the bow.
Yeah, the bow.
The bow.
Who else was in here? That was Mae Whitman, the voice of Katara. She's the fox
and
lady.
Also Amity from the Owl House.
Oh yeah.
Which actually, at the time of recording this, I think like the final episode of the Owl House is premiering tonight.
Oh, is it tonight? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we're recording this the day before Easter. By the way, happy Easter, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, so Mae Whitman, she voiced Katara from Avatar, and of course Amity from Owl House. Yeah,
I don't know. Just whenever I recognize a voice, I'm just like, what are you doing here? But like,
I know, yeah,
it's just weird.
And another one they got is Kenan Thompson as Riff, like the short wolf dude.
Oh yeah. They were doing like a weird talking and silent comedy duo with that thing.
Duo. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it made it laugh. I mean, Kenan Thompson occasionally can make me laugh, but yeah, it was just kind of weird. I'm like, what are these characters doing here? Like,
yeah, but I don't know. I thought they were pretty cute. Like, sometimes like, I usually just like, think of them like, as like, gay or whatever and all that.
You cut me real deep, Skaz.
That's just another thing about this movie. It's since Eddie Izzard is like is trans, like she goes by she her pronouns and all that. Sometimes I would like to I usually like the headcanon Angus as trans and all that, like trans, like the trans icon that we deserve.
Yeah,
and also you got Mae Whitman who voices Dharma. Like I think Mae Whitman is actually pansexual, or probably I know Amity from Owl House is like lesbian or whatever, so I usually just hand canner as like pansexual, lesbian or whatever. Just I just have a lot of these I have lots of these crazy headcanons for these characters. It's just
right.
Yeah.
The movie, the LGBT community, the ultimate LGBT movie, Rock Dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to say. Well, I do have one thing. I laughed really hard at the scene when like Bodhi's in like the bone saw arena, and he's just like,
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
supposed to be
like the
here,
one with the
and the referee's
grizz.
just like, yeah, and I'm not a referee.
Yeah, but like also I found out about like this one thing about one fact about one of the voice acting, one of the extra voices. You know the voice actor Cullen Goff. He plays I think plays Freddy Fazbear, and Five Nights at Freddy's, also plays Diablo and JoJo.
Oh,
He actually has like a extra voice in the movie, like at the point where he is like the announcer for like Angus Scattergood, when he was rocking out and all that. Just
interesting. Yeah, I didn't know
yeah,
that. Diavolo. Oh, the villain from part 5. Yeah,
yeah,
I've only ever
Diablo,
seen
like
the
the one
sub
with
of
pink hair.
JoJo. I don't I've never watched the dubs, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, you should honestly watch the dub. It actually is pretty good. Like Kellen Goff does like this is a really good voice of him
Hmm.
and all that. Just
Yeah,
yeah.
I've only ever seen the only dub I've ever seen of him. Well, I've seen a couple dubs of anime movies, but the only dub I've watched of an anime series is Death Note, because that was my first one,
Hmm.
and that was like kind of my
Yeah,
introduction. And I really like the Death Note dub. I think it's really good. But
yeah,
I don't know. I prefer the original sub of JoJo, just because we get
yeah. Fair
bangers
enough.
like "Yes, I am."
Yeah. Yes, I
Yeah.
am. Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so I don't really have much else to say about Rock Dog. If you want to get into the wrap up of Rock Dog.
I should also mention, like, I know how you watched it on like HBO Max, which I just figured out yesterday because I actually have like the Blu-ray and DVD for it.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
have it with me. I have it with me right now. It's just it has like this quote in the back says, "A nice blend of music, adventure, and comedy." The Frenzo B.
The Frenzo B? Or
Yeah,
the Frenzo V?
Fred
I-
Friends No B. I guess
oh.
I don't know.
Is that like a
what
website or
says.
something?
I guess it is. I guess I think I also want to mention this one thing about I've actually looked at a little bit of a history of the movie, or actually because the movie was actually based off the Chinese manga of the same
Yeah, I
name.
saw that at the on the end credits. I was like, oh, this is based off like a graphic novel or a manga, right?
Yeah, like Tibetan Rock Dog.
Right.
It's actually a whole lot more different than than like the movie, because
Mhm.
because there's like no English translation for it. I don't think it's ever been translated at all. But a lot of the panels I've seen is just I think all the characters are basically dogs or
Mm.
whatever, and it kind of shares like same plot points. I think during like the opening where like the wolves attack like the village or whatever. I think Bodhi's dad, I think Bodhi's dad actually gets killed off in the manga at the beginning,
Oh.
and but before he was called Bodhi, I think it was called Metal or whatever, and also there's a whole lot of humans in that manga too,
Oh.
like just interacting like with interacting with the characters, and again, I don't really know a whole lot because it's never been translated to English, but I know like this other thing where like this one panel where the prototype Bodhi Metal just goes up against the human, and just he literally just bites his arm off as he screams in agony. Like, I wish I was kidding, but that's an actual panel from the manga.
What?
Just he was like holding a gun in his hand, and like Metal just like grabs up, bites his arm off and shit.
Well,
Just,
why wasn't that in the movie?
oh gee, I wonder why. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So
Yeah. So
I
usually
guess
to wrap up our discussion on a movie, we like to say like, or I like to say whether I'm gonna keep it in my collection, and if you're gonna keep it in yours, if you have a movie collection. Do you collect physical media?
only sometimes, really. It's just only if I actually really like
Mhm.
but all if I really like it, or just like if I kind of have to.
Mhm.
It's like I think one recently when I became a little bit obsessed with the Hanna-Barbera series Top Cat,
Mhm.
and I've learned that like while I was watching it, they actually had like kind of like 3 movies, like 1 TV special, like 2 movies that actually made it to theaters, and both of them are not really that good. Obviously, it's just I just figured I kind of wanted to do like this one video where I talk about like all 3 of the movies. So I would probably grab DVDs of them and just watch them and just share my thoughts on it or whatever. But I kind of just ended up not doing that because I just been distracted by many other things.
Yeah.
So
no, I hear that. But yeah, no. So you're thinking of keeping the Blu-ray and DVD of Rock Dog though?
I mean, why wouldn't I?
That's true. Yeah, no. It's you we're considering.
I mean, also like I especially have DVDs of like the sequels too. Like even though they are god awful, but it's still a Rock Dog. I still want to keep them all. Yeah, really. So
for the sake of the bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I get that. I do not. Personally, I was not a fan of this movie this time, but that's okay. Just didn't connect with me, so I don't really see this joining my collection at all. But if it's joining your collection, I think that's more important, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do
you want to move on to the next movie?
I guess might as well. I can't really think of anything else to say about Rock Dog right now. So
all right. Well, then, speaking of an animated movie with anthropomorphic animals that begins with the letter R.
This would be the I should have probably mentioned this is also the eccentric furry episode because because usually I think somewhat every podcast needs an episode like that, just at least one.
At least the required furry episode. Well, anyway, speaking of furries, Robin Hood, the Disney Robin Hood, we watched it because I happen to have it in my collection. I have it on Blu-ray.
I don't. I watched it on Disney Plus.
Well, there you go. Well, we watched it. So, Villager, what did you think of Robin Hood?
I'd say is not really as good as Fry's Robin Hood Fall of Nani.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Well, I think before we get into Friars Rubbing Wood, because I'm sure I think it's impossible to talk about this movie, especially in our circle, without bringing up Friars Rubbing Wood.
Well, of course, the movie's still good.
Oh yeah, no,
of course. Not saying it's bad or anything, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, so I remember, watching it as a kid, and as I got older, I remember learning that this came out during Disney's supposed dark age, and I always thought wow, this sticks out though, because I don't think it's bad. I think it's actually a pretty good movie. I will admit, my most recent rewatch, I did start to see the cracks in the facade, so to say.
Yeah,
but I don't know, it's still a charming movie. I think out of all, if we want to be technical, Disney's Dark Age would be between the 70s and 80s. I would say, yeah, this is definitely one of the better ones. I guess if we're going off of all the movies from the 70s and 80s, maybe I prefer Great Mouse Detective a little more than this. But this one I see as kind of an iconic movie. I don't really see Great Mouse Detective as being as iconic,
I'd say it's iconic and it's kind of a whole generations of furries was born.
Yeah, because
but or unless until The Lion King came out, that's when they really started to pop out.
That's where it really exploded. Okay, yeah, because I've always heard that
at least I think so.
Yeah, well, I've always heard that this is one of the early examples of people kind of discovering who they are. It's just oh
yeah,
foxes that walk on 2 legs. Hey now,
yeah,
it's and you know what, that kind of makes sense because Disney had movies with talking animals before this. And
their mascot is a freaking walking, talking
exactly,
mouse.
And they've had movies with anthropomorphic animals in it, but this was kind of the first time where it was just anthropomorphic animals. It's literally there's no human characters at all. At least with something Alice in Wonderland, that had walking, talking animals, but it still had humans. And then you had Bambi, which had talking animals, but none of them were anthropomorphic. They're all real animals. So
Yeah, and also, of course, I don't think I really watched Robin Hood as a kid because, like, I think mostly my main exposure to furries was mostly just Zootopia, because that's what I first watched. Where I just like, it just really stuck with me.
Yeah, that seems like the modern example of like introducing people.
And then I think I only watched Robin Hood like I think like a year later or something. That I think usually on YouTube they have like a whole lot of these clips, but if you put them together like in a playlist, it feels like you're watching like the full movie.
Yeah, that's how I watched Kronk's New Groove.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how I watched it too when I worked on the the Kronk's New Groove video with Shea Frillis and 24 Frames and Nick.
Oh yeah, that's why I watched it, was because of that video. I remember now.
Yeah, and also it's funny. I was especially talking to one of my girlfriends about this, like saying like hey, I'm going to edit like this saying like this one thing for obviously Shea Frillis and also 24 Frames of Nick, and then she just said my main takeaway from this is just that my own boyfriend and or girlfriend is making a video for 24 Frames of Nick.
Yeah.
And all that.
I didn't know that video was going to be on Nick's channel. Like, I thought I was editing it for James's channel, but then it's like, no, we switched.
Yeah, and also just I somehow managed to get like how I usually get Rock Dog and James's videos on his channel. Now I figured out some way just to get Rock Dog on Nick's channel too.
Yeah.
Like,
the virus spreads. Yeah. This is how it begins.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I do remember watching this movie as a kid. It was definitely not as often as like other movies. Like when I think of the Disney movies I watched a lot as a kid, I think of Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Pinocchio even. Robin Hood was not one of those that I watched as often, but I do remember watching it. And then, as you get older, then you get more access to it, and then you start watching it with more of a critical sense. It's like, I am starting to realize more and more, I don't want to say flaws, because I don't hate this movie. I actually do really like this movie. I think
it's a good movie.
It's a good version of this character. Like when I think Robin Hood, like I think of I think of the Fox. I think of the Disney portrayal of Robin Hood. Like some people think of the 30s version. Some people probably think like maybe the Kevin Costner version. There's got to be like one poor soul out there that thinks of the Taron Egerton Robin Hood from 2018.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I don't want to see it. But anyway, like when I think Robin Hood, I think this Disney character. So like, it's iconic, but it is also just like a very simple, very laid back kind of movie. I mean, it came out in the 70s, so like it has like kind of that laid back nature to it. One thing I will say though, to get back onto the quote unquote flaws, is that I did notice this time around that there's a lot of reused animation. So that's the thing. It's like I knew of the scenes that reuse the animation, and it's like here and there, but like you really pay attention, you're just like, wow, like this is a little excessive. Like especially the phony King of England scene where like
they took some stuff from like Snow White, Jungle Book, the Aristocats, and all that.
Yeah, literally, there's a scene of like a rabbit playing the drums, and I'm like, that's the Chinese cat from Aristocats.
Yeah, that's a Chinese, like the racial the racist cat.
The racist Chinese cat that plays piano with chopsticks, so you know why he's Chinese. Yeah. It's like, good job, Disney. Oh, yeah. Like in Jungle Book, I got a little because it's like, because Little John,
with Baloo, like Baloo and Little John, like they're basically just like the same character, even voiced by the same guy.
Yeah, it's voiced by the same guy, so it's like, that kind of makes sense. But like, there's a bit where like Maid Marian's dancing, and I'm like, that's literally Snow White just dancing.
Yeah, literally Snow White. Yeah,
and then like I love the scene of Little John dancing with the chicken, and it's like, that's just Baloo and the monkey and King Louis dancing. King Louis. It was so strange. It's just like, how do you turn a monkey into a chicken?
I mean, they're like the same height, same size.
Same height, same size. It's like, wow, good thing it worked out. and it's like, okay, as a kid you wouldn't notice that kind of stuff. As an adult and appreciator of animation, yeah, I noticed that. But I can't really say it ruins the movie. It is distracting, but like, I don't know. From an objective standpoint, I think it's kind of funny that they reuse this animation, and you're just like, oh, like that's literally just Jungle Book, Aristocats, Snow White.
Yeah,
you know, it's just interesting that way. I don't know. There's like, again, I can't really say it's awful. Like there's things I do really like. I think Robin Hood is, you know, your typical charismatic lead. I think Little John is funny. I love Prince John. I think he's a really funny villain. I love the way he laughs. He's like, it's just like,
yes, you're never around when I need you. Yeah, he's really funny.
Yeah, I will say, I think I wrote in my notes, he's a bit of a beta Scar. Like, he's kind of the, you know, because like, you know, he's that idea of like the jealous brother who becomes king. But like, he's much different than Scar. I don't really know what I was thinking there. He's a much funnier villain than Scar. Well, even then, I think Scar is funnier. What am I saying?
It's a little bit.
It's different though. It's different. It's
totally.
It's futile to even compare. So, but yeah, I just love his laugh. Oh
yeah. And I also want to talk about you know how like the ending goes, it's kind of like ends like a bit abruptly, like, you know, just like off screen, like, you know, King Richard just like, you know, suddenly, you know, comes back and just, runs everything again.
Yeah.
And it's what's interesting, like, you know, I've actually seen there's actually like a deleted scene where just where it's kind of like extended, where like where like Robin Hood is like injured, is being, you know, treated by Maid Marian, like, you know, in a hidden place until Prince John finds out, you know, just wanting to kill, you know, Robin himself, until King Richard, you know, comes back and everything. And then just, I thought it was just like a lot more interesting. And then just, they probably should have kept it in the movie, but probably they couldn't, because probably for some reason, but just,
maybe for pacing, or like, well, maybe runtime mostly, because this is a short movie, and, you know, Disney likes to keep their movies short. Well, in the old days, they like to keep their movies short. Now they have to be like nearly 2 hours, because
2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. But like, like, I don't know, and maybe like for pacing, because, you know, the climax is during the castle, like when they're escaping. So like, to keep going after that, I don't know, just feels like it would be like adding on, like unnecessary. It would just be kind of unnecessary. So like, I kind of like the fade to like, oh, he's been pardoned by King Richard on the poster, like that's how you know. And then it's like, oh, we're getting married. It's like, at that point, it's like, this is the falling action, like the climax already happened. So I get that. I do admit though, like, yeah, it is a bit rushed, like, especially it's just weird. And like the way like the narrator ends, where he's like, yeah, folks, that's how it happened. It's like, oh yeah, was I supposed to be doubting that the whole time?
Like, like, you know, were they really gonna kill off Robin Hood like that?
Like, or like, yeah, folks, that's really how it happened. It's like, oh, anthropomorphic animals existed in medieval England. Okay.
Wow.
It's like, wow. Okay. Yeah, it was just weird. It's just it's strange movie. There's a scene where Miss Cluck is like running like a football player. It's like, oh yeah, okay. I'm just trying to think of things to say, because like
me too.
It's because like it's a good movie. I do have some things to say about it, but I guess I've said it because I already talked about the reused animation and like stuff like that. It's a good movie. Like, I like it a lot, but I do like Friars Rubbing Wood even more, just because it's, you know what, it's interesting. We were talking about, you know, the reuse of animation for Robin Hood, and then HourofPoop reused the movie to make their own thing, which was really cool. And I think the reason we like Friars Rubbing Wood a lot is because, well, I mean, it's a really ambitious YTP project, you know? Yeah. Like, you're taking a whole movie and just like re-editing it to the point that you're making like a side character from the original as like this main anti-hero, essentially. Yeah. It's fascinating. Like, it's one of the modern examples of like whenever I want to like introduce people to this like weird subgenre that I'm into, or this weird, I don't even know how to describe YouTube poop. Like I just like, you just have to watch it. Like it's up there with like Skellington's Revenge and the Emp Lemon one where like Mr. Krabs goes on a goes on a serial killing rampage. Yeah, like it's like this is like the best, like, you know, because this one tells a story. And there's obviously other YouTube poops that like don't tell a story, like Fesh Pins and Fesh Pins 2. Like I would show like a normal person, because it's like it's literally just, you know, random edits for the sake of random edits.
And also I kind of wanted to go back to, you know, Rock Dog for a bit. It's you know, I made the YouTube poop I Am a Rock Dog Part 1 is which I made like 5 years ago right now. Oh my god.
Has it really been 5 years? Wow.
It has really been 5 years, yeah, and I still have barely, you know, done anything to make like a follow up to it.
Are you
like,
ever going to make a follow up to it, do you think?
I'm still not really sure. Like I've been dealing with like a lot the past 5 years, like, you know, graduating high school, like, you know, just like a whole lot of stuff really. Yeah. I've just like, you know, now I just have like, you know, crappy part-time job, and I'm still, you know, stuck at home and all that, but I just I'm still like I still, you know, think about like, you know, still doing the second one, right? And I also just, you know, keep thinking about like, you know, doing like the third one too, because I you know, plan on making like a trilogy of sorts, like taking like, you know, the first half, like, you know, making the first half of the YouTube poop, then take the second half and, you know, make it the second one, and then the final act, then just, you know, made like the third one and all that.
Right.
Just
like,
I mean, it's just been very hard for me to like, you know, get back into, you know, YTPs as a whole.
Yeah.
Really, it's been
a weird couple of years for YTP. I mean, ever since, you know, James stopped making them, I stopped making them, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to say I never enjoyed making them, because I did have fun whenever, like, you know, I joined a collab and like I got to see the different jokes that people got to make, and I've made many friends over the years through that community. It's like, yeah,
of course, yeah,
I appreciate that. It's just that whenever I had to make one on my own, it's just like, oh, this isn't fun. Like, I don't know, like I'm not as willing to, you know, really edit something as fiercely as like other people are. Like, you know, the amount of detail I see like my favorite creators do to these videos, it's like, holy shit, like this must have taken you forever. But like, you know, they're willing to put in the effort for that. I just would not. I just learned, it's like, you know what, I just can't really be bothered to put the effort into that. Like, I'd rather put the effort into, well, movie reviews and analysis videos and a podcast. Like, you know, movie analysis is what I'm more interested in, so that's why I shifted the channel. So yeah,
it's just like, you know, but what I just really want to, like, you know, I just really want to try, you know, more video editing stuff, like if I want to make like a potential career out of it. But it's just especially with the own like mental problems that I have, like, you know, like autism, ADD and that sort of stuff, it's just hard for me to, like, you know, focus on, like, you know, some stuff like that. Even if I really want to be, you know, passionate towards about it, it's just sometimes it's just not there for me.
Yeah.
Like, or maybe it's just like, I think I've just, you know, been heavily burnt out from all this sort of stuff.
Yeah. But I keep it going, you know, because it's like, well, I do enjoy this kind of stuff, so that's why I keep the podcast going. I keep that going, and I still watch YTPs from time to time because I genuinely like those kinds of videos. Well, the good ones.
Yeah, of course, the good ones. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Robin Hood. It's a good movie. The Friars Robin Hood.
Yeah, it's a very good movie.
It's a good YTP. I highly recommend it. I'll link it in the description just because, if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you haven't seen it. It's really good.
I've also wanted to, you know, like, another thing about, you know, that YTP, I've actually shown it to, like, you know, my other girlfriend, like, you know, while we were hanging out, and like, she says she was obviously, like, you know, amazed by like the amazing, you know, editing that HourofPoop did, like, especially during like the Joker scene.
Oh god, yeah.
Or like, you know, like Friar Tug is like in the cop car, like, you know, everything is just, especially with the lighting that's just, you know, put onto it too. It feels like exactly like, you know, like the original movie, and all that. And just and also, she also brought up, like, what was it? There's like I don't know how I would explain this, because there's like this one weird subgenre of videos called Pooh's Adventures, where like say you take like this like this one movie but you put a whole lot of like these characters into it, but not in a good way, like usually what Friars Roving would do, because in that white TV you see like a whole lot of like different characters. Like you got Hank Hill, you got like the Peter Blimp, you got John Cleese, that sort of stuff.
You got Django Fett. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Django Fett. Yeah,
you have Rick, but not Rick from Rick and Morty. You have Rick from
the one from Bushworld Adventures.
Bushworld Adventure.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like how random.
Obviously, like does a lot of amazing editing that goes into it, but with Pooh's Adventures, it's not really like that. It's just like some sort of way of rush storytelling. Like it's basically just kind of like the same story as like this one movie that they're doing, but just adding like random bullshit characters that that doesn't really tie into anything whatsoever.
Oh, that's strange. Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I've actually because there's like a whole compilation of like these Pooh's Adventures videos. It's like I almost kind of want to recommend it, but not really, because most of the people, I've shown like a lot of people that one certain video is just and of course one of them said yep, that's basically an hour of my life I'm never gonna get back, because just it just kind of, it feels like an acquired taste, that sort of thing. It feels like I think it should be like a different topic that should be focused on like another time, and all that. But that's basically just what it feels like. It's just you have like all these characters like in the YTP, they actually he manages to make it work, make some make some funny jokes for them and that sort of stuff. It just works that way.
Yeah, no, they're really talented. I've been watching them since the Wallace and Gromit YouTube poop, the one
it's almost I feel like I kind of want to do something like that for my Rock Dog YTP series too, but then I just look back at it, it's just like but now that guy is just like he just puts like a lot more effort, and just like especially very time consuming how much a lot of the masking that he does too. It's just like I don't think I can even manage that.
Never.
So like
I can't imagine, but it looks really good. It looks really good.
Yeah, it looks really damn good. Yeah.
It's so. But at the end of the day, if they see it as worth it, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to move over to the wrap up of Robin Hood, we didn't really talk a lot about the movie. Well, we talked about.
Yeah, not really a whole lot about the movie.
Well, we talked about enough, I think.
Yeah, we talked about it like a little bit. Yeah,
it's a good movie. I highly recommend anybody check it out. It's a good Disney movie. It has things I like about it, some things I don't, but not enough to ruin it for me. So I have it on Blu-ray, the 40th anniversary edition, actually. And I'm keeping it just because it's a good movie. I can't say it's my favorite Disney movie. I think it's the 4th Disney movie I've talked about on the podcast, because I talked about Pinocchio, Fantasia, then Treasure Planet, and now this. So it's but yeah, it's good. It's not my favorite, but it's good. Highly recommend it. It's a keep for the collection. Would you keep it in your collection, or how would you think that would work?
I mean, I don't own it physically, but it's not really a movie that will I don't think I'll keep, because because it is good. It's just not really anything that I would own. Probably if I ever get the chance. But, yeah.
No, if only they would make a Blu-ray of Friars Rubbing Wood.
Basically just the main takeaway from this, Robin Hood is good, but Friars Rubbing Wood is even better.
Yeah. I can agree to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. Villager, shout out your stuff. Where can people find you?
I have a YouTube, it's VillagerWolf527. Don't really upload there a whole lot, but I still make videos if I ever feel like it. You can just check it out for that. And I do have Twitter, but only if you're only over 18, because there are some certain things that that some people just don't really like, and just like if you know, you know. Like if you know what I'm into, then just
Yeah. Wow. All right. Cool. Oh, I'll put the links in the description. Whatever they may be.
Also, one more thing. I also have like a letterbox.
Oh.
I think it's VillagerBoy527. I couldn't change it to Villager Wolf for whatever reason because don't you need like a subscription to change the username or something?
I thought you didn't. Because I remember changing my name because I used to go by Citizen Hal on Letterboxd, but then I just changed it to Hal, and I remember doing that before I got the patron membership. So like, I don't know. Like, I thought you could.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's just I don't know if maybe someday I'll change it to Villager Wolf or whatever, but still it's still Villager Boy 527 on Letterboxd. I still maybe sometimes occasionally do put a simple movie review on there, but yeah. I think that's about it for plugging.
Okay.
So
well, that's good. Well, thank you for joining today on the required furry episode, as we called it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Glad to oblige.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you, the listener, for listening. If you want to support the show, subscribe, or don't. I don't care. But thanks for watching, and always remember, I am a rock dog, part 1. Goodbye, everybody.
All hail Lord Teaselbone.
Yeah.